Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Let me get this light correct. I don't know. I feel like I moved it and it's just not correct anymore. In any case, good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. Thank you very, very, very much. I appreciate you tuning in. And I'm not going to name names, but a friend of ours is having a very difficult time. And I tried to have compassion, but I don't. Right now, a lot of the world is in a very difficult situation. A lot of people can't go to do the things that they define themselves as, you know? It's one of those situations where you find out very quickly if you're comfortable when the things that give you easy access to your definition of self are taken away. I'm going to use myself for an example. I know not everybody is in my situation. Boa tarde. Boa tarde. When am I going to turn my blue belt into a purple belt? That's a very good question, man. You know, I got away from my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and got into so much heavy weightlifting that the balance was thrown off. And I am now regretting every class that I missed for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because, you know, this is time you'll never get back. Although I was talking to a friend of ours, DJ Jackson, who's been on the program a couple of times. You know, it's never too late. And quite frankly, maybe going back when things start to go back to normal again, whatever our new normal is, whenever that is, might be a good hard reset point for me. Thanks for noticing. 3D to success actually beat BK to the trigger this time. I appreciate that, everybody. This is how the channel succeeds. Everybody needs to like, subscribe, and share. Share this on Facebook. Share it on your Twitter. It's important because this is how our channel grows. We just had our 2000 party, which I was really proud of. I don't watch the numbers. I don't want to be one of those guys that every day I have to see that I go up one or down one. I'm hoping that the momentum we have keeps going. I have a lot of people here who enjoy the three things we talk about. We talk about money, my favorite subject, world travel, not just my life in Brazil. And we talk a lot about social issues. And I think this is what a lot of those social issues come down to. We give ourselves titles, but a lot of times people give themselves titles because it's convenient, because it's easy, because, you know, you can give yourself a title that's easy to keep up with until it's not. What happens when you give yourself a title that's dependent on an outside factor? I'm not saying that's bad. Flam, how you doing, brother? Thanks for showing up. I'm not saying that's bad, but we also have to be very, very realistic. You know, I have friends that define themselves as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champions and competitors. What have they had to do during quarantine? They can't go to the gym. I got buddies recording videos on all their social media of them doing a half an hour of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stretches, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu against a chair, how to do a pickup, how to do a throw, correct foot placement, drills against their own wall, guard passing, guard retention with their feet against the wall, stuff that is on a scale of fun to not fun. Anyone who's ever trained in grappling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will tell you guard retention is like negative fun. But if they're going to define themselves as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champions, they say, I'm going to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu every day, even if I have to put on my gi and do it by myself. I don't define myself as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. I used to define myself as a competitor. I'm not anymore. I've become more of a weightlifter. I always say, you know, a man has to do something physical in his life. And for me, it was weightlifting. Well, what happened when the gyms close? What happens when you used to be able to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, get in 2 hours of lifting weights before your client at 9 and feel great the rest of the day? Do you stop being a weightlifter or do you find another way to lift weights? For me, I had to find another way. I decided it wasn't going to be a problem. Here, let me give you guys something. If anybody wants to see some of my weightlifting, follow me on IG. I don't just have weightlifting on IG, but I have a lot of different stuff there. So what did I have to do? Step one, bought some of those play school, kindergarten foam mats that you can get that aren't really good for any real serious, heavy two-man grappling. But you know what they are good for? Throw a couple of these on the floor. Let's see, this is my kettlebell. You see me do my kettlebells on Instagram. Now, do I do kettlebell swings with this thing? Do I do dynamic exercises in my own place where I'm swinging this thing around? No. But you know what I can do with it every day? I can pick this up and say, I'm a weightlifter. I might not be able to go to the gym and throw 2, 3, 4 plates on the squat rack, 2, 3 plates on the curl bar, 2 or 3 plates on the bench press. But you know what I can still do? I can still lift weights, bench press, deadlift with this. Is this going to pack on huge slabs of muscle? No, but it's going to stop me from getting fat, and it's going to help me retain the muscle I get. A kettlebell is a one-stop shop for so many different things. You can do everything from curls to shoulder presses with it, tricep extensions, squats. When you do squats, you have to maneuver it like that, and you do that. Hold it like this, like a baby. Well, I don't know if you hold a baby this way. And you do squats with it. But I had to decide for myself, if I'm going to say I'm a weightlifter, I have to find a way to lift weights every day, whether or not the gym is open. Can I supplement my exercise with cardio? Absolutely. Do I walk around the block a few times? Absolutely. There's actually a park not too far from here that me and a couple other guys would take our kettlebells to in the evening when it cools off here in Brazil. We'd be social distance, but we'd go and do our kettlebell exercises. And one day we were walking down there. Part of the warm-up is walking to the park with your kettlebell in your hand. And you switch hands every corner. Those things get heavy. It's called a farmer's walk. And then one day we went down there and they had it yellow taped off. And there were 2 cops that were just standing there like this. Hey. And we were like, hey. And they knew that we were going to come and try and go into the park. And we knew that they knew that they knew that we knew. But we knew they had a job to do. The park is off limits, even though the park is totally outdoors. I had to deal with it. Look, man, I'm telling you, that kettlebell, I call that my side bitch. She's essential. She's not there every day. I do my regular thing, but she's essential. Brother Christopher James Young, got myself some elastic bands, highly recommended for extra resistance. I've never worked out with bands. I think I'm afraid. I've seen too many of those YouTube videos where somebody pulls an elastic band and it just goes wrong. I just never really got into that. And don't you have to have different colors for different resistances? I know that there are different colors that give you different pounds of resistance. So you'll have to show me how to do that. Oi, boa tarde. Brother Curvins, you were supposed to call me. Call me later. So what I'm getting at is, I have a friend who is a artist. He does giant murals on the side of buildings. People pay him a lot of money to interpret his art on their building. And so when he was telling me that he can't go out and do murals anymore, I said, but are you an artist? Yes. So find another way to express your art. Now, maybe it's difficult for someone who's used to painting to go into sculpting. But he said, but I don't have buildings to paint. How am I going to be painting if I don't have buildings to paint? And I asked him, I said, well, wait a minute, don't you, before you do a building, I know that muralists have a little, it looks like a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper turned sideways when they sketch out the entire mural on the paper so that they can have a visual reference when they're doing the giant one. He said, yeah, we use those for reference. I said, why don't you start making a bunch of those? He was like, but why? Because you're still doing your art and you'll end up doing it on a building at some point. And he went, yeah, you're right. The answer was right in front of him, but I said, don't give up that definition of self that you earned, that anyone can test you on, to say, I am an artist. It's like everybody wants to call themselves something great until they ask you the last time you did that great thing. Really? When was the last time you did the whole weightlifting thing? Oh, this morning. When was the last time you did any art, Mr. Big Time Muralist? Oh, well, here, let me show you my portfolio. I've just been doing my art on our reference panels. Who knows? He might even be able to sell the reference panels or paint those and come up with an entirely new, You know, I do mini murals and put those on art gallery wall. I don't know. I'm not an artist. I'm not. But what I said is we got to keep finding ways to retain our sense of self, even when the world is trying to take it from us. Even when the circumstances around us are going to take it from us. I don't know how you define yourself right now. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know how you define yourself right now, but I encourage you to do something like define yourself publicly. Openly say, this is what I am and this is what I do. Have that open and honest accountability. Some guys have 2 or 3 definitions. Find the one that's the easiest to define for yourself and find a way to keep doing it. Don't let the fact that the world has changed in ways that we'll never go back to whatever was normal before, even if we want to go back to normal as it was before. Find a way to continue to be who you are, even if you have to do it on a smaller square, even if you have to do it in an unconventional way, because that's going to help you maintain your sanity, right? A lot of us are trapped in situations where we may be safe and healthy, but a lot of people don't want to go out, you know? I know people that say, you know, I'm in Brazil. I know women that are dancers. I know a girl that puts on her dance shoes and she goes out onto the roof of her building and dances for a half an hour. She's not willing to do any recording of it. I'm like, hey, record some. I want to see some. She's like, no, somebody's calling me. Let me tell them I got to go. Sorry about that. My phone's on silent, but I still heard it. I still heard it vibrate. Let's see. There we are. I'm not saying it's easy. Far from it. I'm just telling you it's possible. Now, there are going to be some people who have a definition of self that they can't modify, but those are going to be rare, few, far in between, and it's also going to be difficult not to find something related that you can do. This is going to show a lot of people ways to redefine who and what they are. This is going to have a lot of people in a situation to find out that they can do things differently and still maintain that sense of self. They can still maintain that this is the title that I gave myself. I hope that none of us start to crack up. I'm seeing signs with my friends of that stir crazy, they call it. And I say, you got to hold on to whatever it is you really are. I have some friends that are chess players, but they're also finding out one of the things that they miss about playing chess is playing against another guy, looking into his eyes, seeing his hand shake as he decides to make a move. They're having to improve their chess game by playing against people online. And they said it's a totally different game. The guys I know that play online don't translate well into playing other people. I don't know why that is. I'm not a chess dude. But it's one of those situations where, oi, boa tarde. It's one of those situations where you gotta find a way. If you need help, if there's anything I can do for you, call me, message me. If you're struggling with it, or if you just need somebody to talk to because right now times are tough. You know, if you can't seem to find that sense of self, or that sense of self has gone away, I'm here for you. Yeah. Right now, I've had some people that I know realizing their dreams through the chaos that's been going on. A lot of you know I do. Here, you can add me on LinkedIn. I tell everybody to add me on LinkedIn as well. Here we go. Add me on LinkedIn. Because I do expat relocation services, and one of the things that a business that has been really, really exploding are those people who say, I define myself as, and I'm going to define myself that way in Brazil. And they've been doing the paperwork and getting everything done to become a legal resident of Brazil. And that's one of the things that I do for people. When you look at my resume on LinkedIn, I encourage you, I always say, look at my resume second. This, of course, talks about what my company does, from helping people get situated in Brazil, all the paperwork that's necessary. But I tell people all the time to go all the way back to the bottom and start here. Start at the recommendation. Start at the area where other business professionals will look at you and say, YusefWateef is who he claims to be. He calls himself a businessman, and he is. That's one of the ways that I define myself. If I can help anybody through that as well. I believe earlier, Brother BK talked about the LinkedIn, but if I'm going to scroll up for a quick second, I think he also said, he talked about our Patreon group. Our Patreon group is a place where I tell people Patreon is a lot less fun than YouTube. I put it here, Patreon, more business and money, less fun. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are on Patreon, we've got something coming up tonight. I'll put that here for you. Let's see. Boom. The Patreon group is where we talk about a lot more serious issues. A lot of us talk about business, buying things, selling things, investments, things of that nature. I won't go through reading all the definitions for you, but there are different levels of membership, and I encourage everyone to check it out. We've had a growing community of serious people, and I've really enjoyed this ride. I've been able to dedicate a little bit more to that now that some of my business has turned in the house instead of going out of the house. So I say all that to say this. Define yourself first. Don't let other people do it for you. Because if you do, they'll define you as a loser. Define yourself first and find a way to stick to that definition of self that you want. No matter what you have to do to get it, no matter how many ways you're going to have to side rig the system to still be able to wake up, look in the mirror when you brush your teeth and say, I am. It'll keep you mentally strong. It'll also show the people around you that you have the fortitude to stick it through. You have the dedication to say, this is how I define myself. I'm not going to let the world around me take it away. Thank you. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I got some other things to do. I hope this helped and I meant what I said. If anybody's having a struggle with their sense of self, give me a call. Send me a message. You all know how to find me. YusefWateef@gmail.com, or find me on Instagram. Find me on LinkedIn. There's my LinkedIn. And where's the other one? There we go. Follow me on Instagram as well. I hope everybody has a good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay clean, stay healthy. And I sincerely appreciate all of you.